As evening falls, they gather in the living room, the flickering light of a few candles casting long shadows on the walls. For the first time in days, they're able to relax, if only a little. The atmosphere is still tense, but there's a sense of relief that they've found a place to rest. David, who has been filming less frequently, picks up his camcorder and starts recording the scene. I don't even know what day it is anymore, he says, his voice low and reflective. We've found a place to stay for a while. It's not much, but it's safe. We're all exhausted, but we're still here. That has to count for something. He turns the camera toward the others, capturing their weary faces. Tom is sharpening his knife, his expression unreadable. Emma is leaning against the wall, her eyes closed as she tries to rest. Rachel is flipping through an old, tattered book she found in one of the bedrooms. And Sarah is sitting by the window, staring out into the darkness, lost in thought. David lowers the camera, his shoulders sagging with the weight of it all. The silence is heavy, the only sound a distant chirping of crickets outside. Suddenly, there's a noise from outside, a faint rustling in the bushes. The sound sends a jolt of tension through the group. Tom immediately stops sharpening his knife, his eyes narrowing as he listens intently. The others freeze, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten as adrenaline floods their systems. In a world overrun by the undead, even the smallest noise can signal danger. Stay quiet, Tom whispers, his voice barely audible. He motions for David to turn off the camcorder. David complies, the room plunging into an eerie silence, save for the soft rustling outside. Tom gestures for Sarah to join him by the window. She moves cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. Together, they peer through the grimy glass, trying to see what's out there. The moon is hidden behind thick clouds, and the only light comes from the distant stars, casting faint, shadowy outlines over the overgrown fields. There, Sarah whispers, pointing toward a spot near the edge of the trees where the bushes are moving. It's subtle, but unmistakable, the slow, deliberate movements of something trying to stay hidden. Tom nods, his jaw set. Everyone, get ready. We don't know what's out there. The group quickly arms themselves with whatever weapons they have, knives, makeshift clubs, anything that could be used in a fight. Rachel, who has the sharpest eyesight, is positioned near another window, while Emma and David cover the front and back doors. Minutes tick by in agonizing silence as they wait, every nerve on edge. The rustling outside stops, and for a moment, it feels like the entire world is holding its breath. But then, there's a loud snap, the unmistakable sound of a twig breaking underfoot. It's followed by more movement, and the group realizes with growing dread that whatever is out there is getting closer. Tom grips his knife tighter, ready to act. Stay calm, we don't know what we're dealing with yet. But before they can do anything, there's a loud bang on the front door, followed by another. It's not the mindless pounding of zombies, but something more deliberate. The sound sends a cold wave of fear through the group. Tom signals for everyone to stay quiet, his mind racing with possibilities. Maybe it's another group of survivors, Rachel whispers, though the uncertainty in her voice is clear. Or it could be looters, David adds grimly. Not everyone out here is friendly. The banging on the door continues, more insistent now. Whoever, or whatever, is outside is determined to get in. Tom makes a quick decision. We need to confront this, but carefully. Sarah, Emma, you stay here and keep an eye on the windows. Rachel, David, you're with me. The group nods, moving silently into position. Tom leads Rachel and David toward the front door, where the banging has grown louder. He gestures for them to get into position on either side of the door, weapons ready. Taking a deep breath, Tom slowly unlocks the door, his heart pounding. He flings the door open, ready to fight, but what he sees stops him in his tracks. Standing on the porch is a man, disheveled and bloody, but very much alive. He's panting heavily, clearly exhausted, and there's a wild, desperate look in his eyes. Behind him, the bushes rustle again, and two more figures emerge, another man and a woman, both looking equally worse for wear. "Please, help us," the first man gasps, his voice hoarse. "We're not infected. We've been running for days. They're right behind us." Tom hesitates, torn between the instinct to help and the need to protect his own group. But before he can make a decision, there's a terrifying, guttural growl from the darkness, followed by the unmistakable sounds of something crashing through the underbrush at alarming speed. "Get inside, now," Tom orders, pulling the strangers into the house and slamming the door shut just as a horde of zombies breaks through the tree line. The group scrambles to barricade the door, pushing furniture against it to keep the undead at bay. The banging starts almost immediately, the door rattling violently as the zombies throw themselves against it with terrifying force. The entire house seems to shake with the impact, and for a moment, it feels like the door won't hold. "Upstairs. We need to get upstairs," Sarah shouts, already moving toward the stairs. The group follows her lead, retreating to the second floor where they hastily block the stairwell with whatever they can find. The house is old, and the wood creaks ominously under the weight of the zombies below. The growls and snarls of the undead fill the air, a cacophony of horror that makes it hard to think. The newcomers are clearly terrified, but they manage to keep it together as they help the group fortify their position. Once the stairwell is secure, Tom turns to the man who had spoken earlier. "Who are you, and what happened out there?" The man takes a moment to catch his breath before replying. "I'm Mark, and this is Julie and Sam. We were part of a larger group, but we got separated. Those things, they're everywhere. We've been running for days, trying to find a place to hide. We saw your house and thought maybe we could find shelter here, but..." His voice trails off as the reality of their situation sinks in. The house is surrounded, and the horde outside shows no signs of dispersing. It's only a matter of time before the undead breach their defenses. Tom runs a hand through his hair, trying to think. "We can't stay here. There are too many of them, and this place won't hold forever. We need to find a way out." "But how?" Emma asks, her voice trembling. "They're all around us. We're trapped." Sarah, who has been listening quietly, suddenly speaks up. "There might be a way. When we were searching the house earlier, I found an old root cellar in the basement. It's hidden, and if we can get to it, we might be able to use it to escape." The group exchanges uncertain glances. The idea of going down to the basement, where they would be even closer to the zombies, is terrifying. But they all know it might be their only chance. Tom nods, making the decision for them. "It's risky, but we don't have a choice. We'll take whatever supplies we can carry and make our way to the cellar. If we're lucky, we can find a way out through there." They quickly gather their belongings, each of them preparing for the dangerous descent into the basement. The noise from the zombies below grows louder, the walls vibrating with the force of their assault. Every second counts. With Tom leading the way, the group makes their way down the stairs as quietly as possible, the floorboards creaking under their feet. The basement door is old and weathered, but it holds as they carefully push it open and slip inside. The basement is dark and musty, the air thick with the smell of damp earth. Sarah leads them to the back of the room, where a small, hidden door opens into the root cellar. The space beyond is narrow and cramped, but it might just be their salvation. One by one, They squeeze through the door, their breaths coming in shallow gasps as the weight of the situation presses down on them. Once inside, they barricade the door behind them, using old crates and sacks of rotten potatoes to block any entry. The root cellar is cold and claustrophobic, the walls damp with moisture. It's a tight fit, but they manage to arrange themselves in a way that allows them to rest, even if just for a moment. As the group settles into the cramped space, the reality of their situation begins to sink in. They're trapped underground, with no idea if the cellar has another exit, and the zombies are just above them, relentless in their pursuit. The air is thick with fear and the smell of decay, and the group can feel the weight of the earth pressing down on them, as if the world itself is trying to suffocate them. The hours tick by in the root cellar, each one stretching longer than the last. The group huddles together in the dark, their breaths shallow and their nerves frayed. The sound of the zombies above is a constant reminder of the danger they're in, and it's only a matter of time before something breaks. As the tension mounts, the cracks in the group's unity begin to widen. The close quarters, combined with the fear and uncertainty, bring out the worst in everyone. Snappish remarks turn into heated arguments, and old grievances are dredged up as tempers flare. Tom, who has taken on the role of leader, finds himself at the center of the conflict. His decisions are questioned, his authority challenged, and the weight of the group's survival rests heavily on his shoulders. The stress is unbearable, and it's only a matter of time before he snaps. The breaking point comes when Rachel, her nerves shattered by the constant fear, accuses Tom of leading them into a death trap. "We should have never come here," she shouts, her voice trembling with anger and fear. "You're going to get us all killed." Tom's face hardens, his patience worn thin. "I'm doing the best I can, Rachel. We're all in this together, and if you have a better idea, I'd love to hear it." But Rachel isn't satisfied. The fear and frustration she's been bottling up explode in a torrent of accusations. "You don't know what you're doing. You're just making it up as you go along. We should have found a better place, a safer place. This is all your fault." Tom, who has been trying to keep his own emotions in check, finally loses his temper. "I didn't ask to be in charge, Rachel. None of us did, but we're here now, and we need to work together if we want to survive." Blaming each other won't change anything. The tension between them is palpable, the rest of the group watching with a mixture of fear and exhaustion. Sarah tries to intervene, stepping between them. "Enough, both of you. This isn't helping. We need to stay focused on getting out of here, not tearing each other apart." But Rachel isn't ready to back down. "No, Sarah, we can't just keep following him blindly. We're running out of time, out of food, and if we stay here, we're as good as dead." Before Tom can respond, David, who has been silent up until now, suddenly speaks up, his voice low and strained. "Rachel's right about one thing. We can't stay here. But fighting each other isn't the answer. We need to find a way out, and fast. If we don't, the zombies will break through, and it won't matter whose fault it is." The gravity of David's words sinks in, silencing the argument. The reality of their situation looms over them like a shadow. They're trapped, with the undead above and the earth pressing in around them. If they don't find a way out soon, it won't matter who was right or wrong. Tom takes a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. David's right, we're running out of time. We need to find another way out of this cellar. There has to be something, a tunnel, an old exit, anything. Emma, who has been sitting quietly, suddenly remembers something. "Wait, when we were searching the house, I found some old plans in one of the drawers. They look like blueprints for the farm. I didn't think much of them at the time, but maybe they show another way out of here." flickers in the group's eyes for the first time in hours. "Where are they?" Tom asks urgently. Emma reaches into her backpack and pulls out a folded sheet of yellow paper. She spreads it out on the damp floor, and the group huddles around it, their eyes scanning the faded lines and scribbles.